Welcome to Green Card Guys TV. I'm your host, John Ting, and we secure your legal status to live and work in America. Today, we have a wonderful guest, one of our premier associate attorneys, Ariana Fuentes. Welcome to the show, Ariana.
Hi, thank you.
Well, we have quite a topic today that I know that a lot of y'all would resonate with this because we receive a lot of inquiries and requests to have a meeting related to common complaints. And so we've turned it around. I can understand now why people in general, my friends, when I decided to go to law school, they had like all these bad lawyer jokes, and I got a little offended. But I really now truly understand over the last course of, at least for my career, the last 12 years, what they're talking about. I still take offense to it because we're what we want to do is we want to be a premier law firm nationwide here, Ariana. So Ariana, do you mind sharing? I mean, of course, not divulging. We're not disclosing attorney-client privilege here or anything confidential. There's just like more common complaints. Do you mind sharing at least one for now?
Sure. I think the top complaint that we get from people that we talk to who've either consulted with attorneys or have an attorney and they're just unhappy with the service is just lack of communication. So, whether that be they're not answering my emails, they're not answering my phone calls, they are not letting me set up an appointment. I can only talk to the secretary or the paralegal. They won't answer any of my questions. Some of them, in the really extreme cases, just totally disappear, which is why on our end, we've sort of created a more client-friendly portal where you can schedule your own appointments with us. You will be talking to an attorney. It's a self-schedule, so whenever you're free in your schedule, you can book that and speak to an attorney. And depending on the plan, you can do it, twice a month, 4 times a month, once a month. So it's really helpful, and we've gotten really great feedback from people that that's a feature that they love because we're always available. And then with email communication, our goal is to always reply within 24 hours to at least let them know that we've received whatever it is that they're trying to send out.
Thank you for sharing that, Ariana. And when I started the law firm, I realized that people need to get updates, right? People need to get updates, even though we all know, clients know that, especially when they learn from others, their friends or colleagues, that immigration cases in general traditionally take a long time. Even though, fortunately, the last 2 years it's been faster for adjustment of status marriage cases.
Mhm.
But so we provide, as you mentioned, a portal. It's a website on a web page on a website just for clients only. And but in terms of email, we really try our best to reply in 24 to 48 hours. Um, and you also, Ariana, you mentioned that um, about meetings. That people are not able to not able to schedule a meeting with the attorney directly with other law firms that we hear about. It's very unfortunate. The good thing is this is not happening to law firms that I know, my friends and your friends, right? But just other law firms that we haven't heard about in that sense. But I've spoken at conferences to tell people, to other attorneys, about why it's important to make it easier for y'all, for clients, to just schedule a meeting. In addition to our customer support portal, we have a link on our website, or not just website, but on our email signature, that you can self-schedule a meeting. And so it's at least every Tuesday and Thursday. And of course, Ariana and our legal team has been accommodating. If you work on Tuesday and Thursday, we'll try our best to schedule for the other days. So we're open-minded in that sense. Ariana, there's also I recall some conversations about when it's not just people asking for an update.
Yeah.
It's when they receive a request for evidence in the mail, and they call the other law firm, and it's like crickets. It's pretty wild, right?
It is, yeah, especially because a lot of those have timelines and deadlines that you have to meet. And so it makes people really nervous because one, they sometimes just don't know what it is, what's happening, is my case getting denied? So you need to go through that explanation with a client of so this is why we're getting this. This is the evidence that we're sort of going to respond with. So it's very worrisome, I think, to most clients that if they receive something like this and they don't get any communication from their attorney, they kind of just get it in the mail and then they try to talk to them and they're not responding, or just like the paralegal or secretary is responding. I think it's important to have a system sort of like we have where we set up a meeting with the attorney right away when we get something like that. So we can explain it to you as soon as possible and then sort of get our strategy going as soon as possible too.
Thanks for sharing that, Ariana. For early on in my career, we had it where, okay, we get request for evidence, then we'll send a link to the client and say, okay, upon your convenience.
Right.
But we changed that, of course, with green card guys, and we're proactive. We know that even though we try to be considerate and cognizant of your work schedule and family schedule, we have deadlines to ensure that we mail the package back before the deadline. So we think down the line, even to the extent that if you don't reply to our email, you don't schedule within 24 hours, we have a team member. Part of our workflows will call you to make sure that you receive the email. And we get it. We receive a lot of emails too,
Mhm.
so we do that extra phone call, but really because we understand, especially pandemic and post-pandemic, mailing with USPS, even very rarely with FedEx. Fortunately, there could be delays in the delivery, so we have on our workflow to mail out at least 1 week before the deadline.
Yeah, yeah, the goal is to get it as soon as possible. Obviously, with immigration, processing times for most cases are already very long. And so we want to respond as soon as possible instead of just sort of putting it off and putting it off so that, like, oh, I have, a month, I have a week. We want to get it out right away. Like you said, the goal is a week before, but if we can do it sooner, that is better for us and better for the client.
Absolutely. And there's times when a request for evidence, I'm trying to think, of course, without disclosing attorney-client privilege here, but maybe the birth certificate from that country of nationality needs to be authenticated. Maybe the copy they had and that we had originally wasn't recorded or registered for some reason. And so just having the time to obtain that proper record from that country could take some time. So that's why it's better, absolutely, to meet with us sooner than later. First week of that RFE.
That's right. Yeah, it could be super involved, really lots of evidence, very intensive, or it could just be a couple pieces of evidence or a clarification to something that we already sent. But like you said, there's always a possibility where you'll have to reach out to another agency, wait for their processing times. Everything kind of moves really slowly with these government agencies, so we want to get in front of it as soon as possible.
And in fact, we rarely get RFE, which we're very fortunate. I think that's proven with our prep status, our quality control and phase, our step number one. But the ones that we get the most RFE, I could just add a note here, Ariana, that you've seen is where it's like a kitchen sink, like they ask for a lot of evidence, is the employment-based visas.
That's right.
Very unfortunate to see. So even for employers, I know HR, or the owner, the entrepreneur, they're also busy. So we just try to get that meeting in as soon as possible.
That's right. Yeah. And it's something where you have to make a great strategy at the beginning as to like what you're sending to try to avoid it. But like you said, in a lot of different case types, it's very common, a lot more common than others. So it's just about getting as early as possible so that you can produce more documents that they'll be happy with.
And you know what? Since we're talking about RFE kind of scenario, Ariana, the additional reason to meet that first week, if possible, is it's not always just a checklist, right? Because the USCIS gives a pretty decent checklist on the RFE, but it's generic. It might not be applicable. Not every item may be applicable to your company or your family scenario relationship. So, what we consider in that meeting is a strategy session to consider other options. This, one of our core values is open-minded. Really try to work with you to come up with something based on our experience, of course, and our colleagues.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of it is for just a peace of mind. I think a lot of people see, like you said, that big laundry list of evidence, and it's super worrisome, right? You're thinking like, "Oh, I don't have that. I don't have that either. Like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to respond?" And so if we're able to explain it to them as soon as possible and let them know, this is kind of a all the possibilities that you could take, but these, this, and this is what we're going to respond with, that makes people feel a lot better.
Absolutely. Okay, well, that we've run through at least a couple complaints. Do you have? I'm sure you have a couple more. I need some time to think about it. But what do you have, Ariana?
I think another big one is if the law firm is sort of expecting all of the money up front. Like we get a lot of issues with, they don't have a payment plan. They're wanting me to pay for absolutely everything before they send out my package. And I think, like you said, for us, we really want to work with people to try to get them legal status. So I think that's definitely something that differentiates us from lots of other firms that I know and that I've worked with.
That's a great point. A lot of people, there's a pretty good amount of law firms I've talked to, like, well, they don't accept payment plan. I think that's very unfortunate, especially for us. We are cognizant that many of these immigration cases take a long time, so many months, unfortunately. So we're open to that. So if you have questions about it, let us know. The one I thought of while you're chatting about just sharing that is the lack of preparation or strategy. So we kind of alluded to that in the request for evidence um, but yeah, lack of preparation. I had to go to court hearing a couple days ago in Dallas, and it's quite sad. Not just lack of preparation. When it comes to court hearings, sometimes I observe that the attorney doesn't show up, and with some
Mhm.
judges, if your case gets called and you're not there, or your attorney's not there, or your attorney's not there, they're just going to have you as the applicant, the immigrant, move forward and have that hearing by yourself.
Right.
Some judges, no, and not every judge is like that. Some judges will allow you to call your attorney and wait outside, but not every judge is like that. But the other scenario about lack of preparation is, people especially ask me on a live show in our strategy sessions with you and our legal team, Ariana, and they say that their prior attorney did not prepare them for the whichever type interview it was, and it's quite sad. But I
It
think that's the basic that has to be included with the service.
I agree. A lot of these interviews, or some of these interviews, are just on their own. That an attorney can't be there. I'm thinking specifically in the consulate, but it is super critical to go through the whole application, their whole history, make sure they know what to expect. Because if you go and you answer a question in a way that's going to hurt you, it's going to bring a ton of other complications for your case. So I would be very wary of someone who says, you got it. We don't need to talk. We don't need to prepare you, because it's critical to at least know what to expect. And that way you're not getting caught off guard and seeming really nervous to the officer. I agree. It's a very critical part of the case.
It's quite sad to hear about. And one hypothetical situation I may have heard about is when the USCIS asked for request for evidence, okay, and or maybe it was notice of intent to deny, and they want a statement. They want a letter from both parties. Let's say a spouse and spouse, partner and partner. And I recall seeing that the prior attorney had both people write one letter, and they both signed that same document, and that doesn't make sense. I think even some lawyers know that you have to have your own letter signed, and it can be notarized or it doesn't have to be. So I thought that was very unfortunate, because that's not necessarily have to be knowledge base of an immigration attorney. So that's why it's very important, y'all. And Ariana would agree with this, that even if you're referred to another law firm because your friend had success or a positive outcome there with a green card, whatever status, you need to do your own due diligence. Check the Google reviews of that law firm, and if you don't like it, that's a personal decision. Okay. In fact, I know that someone signed up with us last month or so. It seems like a couple, at least a few times a year, someone says to me or us, "Yeah, I didn't like that other attorney that my friend or family member referred to us. I had just happened to find your Google page and read our reviews over 300 50 5-star reviews. Very fortunate for Ariana and other team members to do the work they do. But yeah, just really have to check those reviews. What do you think, Ariana?
For sure, do your homework. Make sure it's somewhere that you're gonna be able to communicate with them, somewhere that's gonna be flexible with you about paying, someone that's going to let you know of updates right away, someone, like you said, that has really great reviews, really great recommendations, and make sure you talk to the attorney and that you have access to the attorney at all times to answer any of your questions. That's what we're here for. That's what you guys are hiring us to do. So definitely do your due diligence before choosing an immigration firm.
And I realized, I was my court hearing Monday, and on Friday, we found out that it was online. It was supposed to
Mhm.
be remote or virtual hearing, and then suddenly it was in person. So we had to coordinate, right? And we try to do our best to save the client's money and have a local attorney appear. And we had attorneys ready to go, 1, 2, 3. And we, of course, we still offer to the client, would you like one of us on our own legal team to attend for you? It's just going to cost more because of flight costs or hotel fee if needed. And you know what? The client wanted me to go, and I was happy to go. We took care of business. But that's one of the intangible benefits of a law firm. Our law firm is that we have a network relationships with other attorneys across the United States. In the event that, for example, if maybe you didn't have an attorney before when you filed your case, let's say adjustment of status or something else, but you realize after conversation with us you need an attorney for the interview, we're happy to connect you. Absolutely, because we realize it's kind of like Ariana. It's kind of like we've talked about this before, like trying to search for a restaurant to go eat with our family or spouse, and it could be taking 15, 30 minutes just to find a restaurant, just looking through reviews, and we're happy to save you that time.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. And I would say also it's just really important for you to have that peace of mind that, like, if you really want us to go, we will go. We'll try to make it happen, whether that be, like you said, a virtual representation, a phone interview representation, or just get someone that we know and we really trust to be in there and advocate for you, especially if it's a difficult case or a case where you're going to have some difficult questions.
Alrighty, Ariana. Well, we there's a kitchen sink of complaints that people have told us about their other attorneys, whatnot. At the very least, y'all, whoever's watching in the audience here in the Green Card Guys community, please have a meeting with a licensed attorney. Please, please, please do that. I know that I recognize that in your country where you're from, that may not be customary, but in America, it's very important to consult with a licensed immigration attorney. So, Arna, any last thoughts for the community here?
Um, Again, do your due diligence. Give us a call. We're happy to help you get your status to be able to work, to be able to travel, to be able to be secure. So definitely do your homework. This is a really important part. It'll give you a ton of peace of mind to know that you're being taken care of by someone who's really advocating for you and who has a great process in place.
Ariana, thank you so much for the discussion. And if anyone is interested in our services or want to schedule a meeting with attorneys like Ariana with our team, or even learn more about a certain service, that link is down below. So check the description box in the pinned comment. Thank you so much, Ariana. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. Bye bye.